Hi, welcome back to another episode of Good Cubed Kitchens, the lab. Today we're going to make up a recipe that I kind of thought up in a dream and then did some research for until I came up with exactly what I wanted to make. So, in this dream, I had this plate and it was seafood and it was sausage and it was Cajun and it was cornbread and all of these things were together in one. And I was like, what is that? I've never heard of it. And so I did some research and I found out that there is a such thing as cornbread dressing with seafood in it. Never had it before, and I'm super excited to make it now. So, the thing about dressing that people often overlook is that it's actually one of my favorite genres of food, custard breads. Yeah, it's a custard bread. If you really think about it, you take a bread and you saturate it in a milk and egg bath and you bake it. Sounds like a custard bread to me. No different than if you were making a French toast casserole or French toast. So, as with every kind of custard bread, it's best to start with some that is a little bit stale. Mine is actually pretty stale, but that's absolutely perfect. So, I'm going to do 3/4, 3 to 4 ratio of cornbread to actual wheat bread. I like to add the wheat bread to my mix because I think it gives it a bit of a levity that the denseness of the corn bread doesn't have. And so it's a mix of the two, mostly corn bread, but just a little bit of wheat bread. You can do white bread or any other kind of bread that you want, just like a bread pudding. I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees while I am getting that going, and I've also got my pot preheated to make up the things that are going inside of this recipe. So to give my bread a rough chop, because I didn't have any stale wheat bread, I just toasted this up. Toss it over in. And you really do want all these crumbs. That started, we can get going on the rest of what goes into this recipe. So I'm going to make up a quick roux with about 2 tablespoons of butter, adding equal parts flour. I'm going to turn my heat up to medium high. So now we're going to go for the Cajun Trinity: celery, onion, and bell pepper. Add over about a whole onion, 1 bell pepper, and some salt, which really helps the vegetables to begin to sweat more quickly. I realized my heaping tablespoons of flour were a little off proportion, so I add over another 2 tablespoons of oil. And my 2 ribs of celery. We're going to just mince up some garlic. Getting nice and fragrant. So we're going to add over our garlic. Allow that to cook. Then we're going to add over some of our Cajun seasoning mix, which we made Now that they're getting soft, we're going to add over 2 cups of chicken stock. And an additional cup of milk. That's going. Let's prep our sausage. I was able to find some andouille sausage at my local grocery store. Put 4 of those in. Our andouille. Due to a camera malfunction, we lost the rest of the footage for this part, so I'm just going to let you know what happens. I'm going to include all of our andouille, give it a good stir. Then I'm going to crack 3 eggs into a separate bowl, and I'm going to temper them with our filling stock. Then I'm going to combine the bread, the seafood, all into the stock, and then put it into a butter casserole dish and pop it in the oven for 45 minutes. It's been about 45 minutes, so now it's time to take out our dressing. We're going to allow our dressing to cool for about 20 minutes before we dig in. so excited to have some of this. For a little bit of garnish, we're just going to run a knife through some green onion. Just need a little bit of it. Now, mm, hot, hot, hot. Mm. The andouille sausage brings a smokiness and a spice, mm, and it just really pulls all the flavors together. With the andouille permeating throughout the flavors, the shrimp and the peppers and the onions and the garlic and the scallop all come together and really dance around the andouille. It really is the secret ingredient to this dish. And the cornmeal is really delightful. I'm so glad that I was able to use some really stale cornmeal because if it were fresher, I think this wouldn't be as tight and held together. So now to garnish it, I'm gonna go with just a scoop of sour cream and a few green onions. And there you have it, seafood dressing. I'm so excited to dig into this. And thank you so much for joining me today on this episode of The Lab from Good Cube Kitchen. Again, I'm your host, Yassine Butler. Please follow me on all social media platforms. That's Good Cube, GOODCUB 3D on all social media platforms. And as always, let's thank the good Lord for good food and good times. All that good is Good Cubed.